Right now, roughly 10,000 matriculants who qualified for university face being turned away due to a critical lack of space. Despite achieving bachelor passes, these students are hitting a capacity wall as public universities struggle with funding caps and a massive influx of applications. With the academic year fast approaching, the pressure is on government to find a solution for those left in limbo. Joining us now is Tebogo Letsie, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education. Tebogo, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us, and good afternoon to your viewers.
All right, so I mean, we have numbers here that are seemingly not making sense to me. So it's said that some 10,000 spaces for bachelor qualified students, right? And these students cannot find a space. They are qualifying, but they cannot find space in universities. How many matriculants received bachelor passes? And of the 26 universities, public at least universities in the country, they cannot find space for some 10,000 students. Explain that to us.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and thanks for having us. I think the first thing to indicate is that what we are seeing now is a government suffering from or being a victim of their own successful story. I mean, in 2015, for an example, we had matriculants, just over 73,000 students getting bachelor passes. This is just 10 years ago. And today we had 345,000 students who got bachelor passes. So it is a success story from a basic education point of view. It's and I don't want us to, forget where we come from historically. Two, is that last year alone, we had these public universities had 202,000 spaces in their institutions, in these institutions, public institutions of higher learning. This year, we've increased access. We now have 235,000. So this is a 33,000 increase in spaces, the gradual increase. And why did we get to 33,000? We had to go, fight with National Treasury to give funding because you don't want to create spaces for students, and then you can't either subsidize the universities or pay tuition for these students. So based on the budget that we had, or the country had with the ministry, department, and these institutions, they increased by 33,000. I mean, it's not a small matter. Maybe let me also put it into this context that last year we had 202,000 spaces, but with 337,000 students or learners who obtained bachelor passes. This year we increased to 235, and bachelor passes increased from 337 to 345. So, so there's increase on this side, which is a good thing. There's increase on this side, which does not match the demand from the other side. Yeah. And hopefully that during the course of our discussion, we'll speak about mitigating factors. That
in fact, I think we should go there right now, because TVET colleges are increasingly faced with a bad perception, right? Yeah. Young people do not necessarily see the value in applying to TVET colleges. So what is then the Portfolio Committee's specific plan to ensure that there is capacity?
Yeah, well, if you listen to the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Mr. Buti, when he came in, he said his plans is to change the image around TVET colleges and what it offers. And actually this year, this is the first intake of TVET colleges offering what they call occupational courses. So we're moving away from the NCV or Report 191. We're going to occupational courses. Occupational courses are courses that will have value, that will make sure that those that obtain these qualifications will not struggle to get employment because or create employment, because that's what our people are doing. The second thing is that there is a pump in infrastructure grant towards this thing, because you can't say people must go and study at TVET colleges. When they get there, it reminds them of high school. I mean, the classrooms are as small as a classroom. You know, the windows are broken and they are not fixed, because that is the reality of some of our TVET colleges. Right. So we also need our leaders in our TVET colleges to make sure that they utilize this infrastructure grants that are given to our TVET colleges to turn them into institutions not of the future but of the current. Make sure that we move away from this classroom arrangement. We move into lecture rooms in these institutions. They are well run and they offer qualifications which would have started. And even though this year the numbers have not improved, because the total spaces available from last year were 170,000. Even this year, there are still 170,000, because remember now they are moving into occupational courses.
So on those occupational courses, I read a report that indicated that going into this year, so the assessment that was done from 2025 into 2026 showed that there is a vacuum of specialized educators for occupational careers. You're saying that the Education Department is specifically focusing on this occupational education, but there's a vacuum of educators. How are you going to mitigate that?
Yeah, so what would have happened is that there are institutions, for an example, I can tell you that, maybe if I can just mention one, that the one in the Northwest, the TVET College there in the Northwest, at least in Dr. RSM, there will not be offering any occupational. And this is what they came and reported to us on the 26th of November when we asked them how ready they are. And they did indicate some challenges where, because the department wanted to train these lecturers or to retrain these lecturers during the holidays, and they were not remunerated or given some, you know, a motivation to go, and some of them did not go. And that is why we're asking the department to plan better. They just came from a strategic session that ended yesterday. We hope that they would have averted this problem, and we are hoping that as they come and communicate this, the resolution of the strategic session that ended yesterday, this thing of training lecturers, TVET lecturers, is part of the many unemployed TVET lecturers who even write to us and say, we are here, we are trained in the, you know, we've just graduated, and the department, we have written to the minister and said, Minister, please speak to these lecturers. And many of them complain again that the department hires lecturers from outside of South Africa without following the Immigration Act, because we do have an Immigration Act that says you only hire for certain, you know, skills, you only hire South Africans unless you can't find somebody. So we have given that to the department to resolve. And once, remember us as an oversight body, we're not operational. So we're hoping that the department will then, and the minister will then come with a better response when we meet them on parliamentary Zoom soon. Yeah.
So another controversial issue has been these institutions accepting application fees.
Yeah.
So the Public Servants Association, for instance, recently called for the abolition of the application fees. They've noted that universities receive some 600,000 rand just from these fees. What's your stance on that?
Yeah, well, they might have misquoted the fees. They get more than 600,000 rand because let's take UJ received 600,000 applications. Let's assume, for argument's sake, that they charge 100 rands. 200 rands? UJ, they charge 200. So it means if it's 600,000 applications, it's 1.2 billion that I would have received from those applications. If you remember last year, at the beginning of the year, we had a discussion with USAF and said, I mean, if you have Northwest University, for an example, using the same system as UJ, or maybe because I remember UP charges, I think it's 300 rands, for an example, to apply there. UP uses the same system as Northwest University. Why would Northwest University have a system that does not charge? and UP wants to charge 300. What is the difference? And why can't we use that? I mean, I know your question is that what is it that we're doing about that? I mean,
but and is it unethical to be charging, because your numbers have just focused on South African students.
Yes.
Didn't factor in those who are coming from abroad, also applying to these institutions. Is it unethical?
It's possibly unethical, but remember, there's these institutions, when we probe them, they come and say to us that they are autonomous bodies, and we can't, government can't do X, Y, and Z. In fact, when we pressed them even harder last year, USAF came and said they are not university is not an organ of state, which we argued against that, because why would then, I mean, this government this year or last year, we gave universities 48 billion rands in grants, I mean, subsidizing education in this country. So you are an organ of state if you are getting the grant from government, but you are not an organ of state when you are supposed to account. Sure. I mean, we fought with many of them. I'm sure you know that we fought with University of Limpopo. I mean, wanted them to account on how much are they using. I mean, even 2 days ago, they lost a case in a high court there in Pretoria. I think it was in a high court, refusing to confer a degree to a student. I don't know how many cases they've lost. Sure. We are going to Limpopo on the 25th of this month. So we will be at the University of Limpopo on the 27th. And they must account. I mean, I don't know how much money they've bled out of the system just fighting students and workers. We had a similar case fighting with the University of Mpumalanga. We've had similar cases, I mean, with different universities in this country. So the attitude, including Forte, the attitude of these universities there is that they don't want to account. And it makes it difficult if you don't have a strong department and a strong ministry. I think the ministry is strong. We just have a problem with our department, which is not strong. And we're going to fix that department to be strong so that these universities must be able to account, because the people of this country are giving them 48 billion rand per annum.
And 33,000 university spaces since last year is also just not adequate on your part. We need to make more available. Thank you very much for your time, Tebogo Letsie, and that is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education.